for Elizabeth to get us going. Oh, we're good to go, Elizabeth? I'm sorry about that. We'll start over. Good evening, everybody. Sorry to keep you waiting. Thank you for being with us this evening. Si je peux voir quelqu'un pour proposer l'ouverture de la séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'ouvrir la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je l'appuie.
Merci. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci. Adoption de l'ordre du jour, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'adopter l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du lundi 28 novembre 2022, modifié comme suit, en ajoutant le point numéro 15A, pétition, passage hivernal, Courtney Ronald, et en ajoutant le point 15B, déclaration d'intérêt pécuniaire.
Merci, la conseillère Feeney. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie, Monsieur le maire.
Merci, la conseillère Small Pennefather. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci bien. L'adoption des procès-verbaux.
Je propose d'approuver le procès verbal des séances du conseil tenues aux dates suivantes. Séance ordinaire de 24 octobre 2022, séance spéciale de 3 novembre 2022.
Merci, la conseillère Small Pennefather. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît. Oui, je l'appuie. Merci, la conseillère Torres. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Merci. There was nothing under correspondence. If you'll notice, Councillor Elizabeth Yulin is not with us this evening, so I'll read her report when it comes time. So we'll move right to report of the mayor. Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir à tous. Welcome to our regular council meeting. Bienvenue à notre réunion ordinaire de conseil. At the launch of the public portion of the campaign to raise funds for the new Sports and Recreation Center, we heard from Andy Michelin, who reported that they have commitments of over $1.5 million of our $2.5 million overall goal. That is excellent work, and the committee headed by Scott McKenzie is to be commended for their efforts. As Andy put it, to raise the next $1 million, we need 1,000 people to each donate $1,000, or 2,000 people to each donate $500, or 4,000 people to each donate $250. The public portion will be a multi-year effort, and I'll know we'll easily surpass our goal. Tomorrow, the City of Montreal will deposit its 2023 budget. I've seen the budget, and there's no hiding that it is extremely ugly for Montreal-Ouest and for all the demerged towns. Because our evaluations have grown more than those in Montreal, our portion of AGLO expenses has grown more as well. The details will be made public tomorrow, but there's no hiding that it is disastrous for the demerged towns. Our administration went back to the drawing board to do what they can to minimize the effects upon our residents, but at one point, we have no more space left to cut without affecting services. Demain, la Ville de Montréal déposera son budget 2023. J'ai vu le budget et il ne faut pas se cacher qu'il est extrêmement désagréable pour Montréal-Ouest et pour toutes les villes liées. Parce que nos évaluations ont augmenté plus que celles de Montréal, notre quote-part des dépenses de l'agglomération a aussi augmenté de plus. Les détails seront rendus publics demain, mais il ne faut pas se cacher que c'est désastreux pour les villes de fusionner. Notre administration a retourné à table de dessin pour faire ce qu'elle pouvait faire pour minimiser les effets sur nos résidents, mais à un moment donné, il ne nous reste plus d'espace pour faire des coupures sans affecter le service. The Association of Suburban Municipalities will be releasing its statement tomorrow morning after the budget has been deposited. On behalf of the Town Council, its residents, and the town in general of Montreal-West, I want to welcome Fadi Daguerre, who will take over as the police chief for the SPVM. As I was a member of the six-person selection committee, I had a chance to speak with Mr. Daguerre and was thoroughly impressed by his vision for the department. Au nom de la Ville de Montréal-Ouest, du conseil municipal et ses résidents, je souhaite la bienvenue à Fadi Daguerre, qui prendra la relève en tant que chef de l'SPVM. En tant que membre du comité de sélection de 6 personnes, j'ai eu l'occasion de parler avec M. Daguerre et j'ai été très impressionné par sa vision pour le département. And finally, though the rain came, it didn't dampen the spirits of the participants at the CP holiday train as it's made its stop in Montreal-West. The many thousands of spectators were treated to a great show by the performers on stage and by the decorated train itself. I want to thank our Recreation, Public Security, and Public Works Department for organizing the off-train activities. CP generously donated a check to the Depot Community Food Center for $5,000. an amount very much needed in these trying times. Enfin, malgré la pluie, ceci n'a pas entamé les plaisirs des participants au train des fêtes de CP, qui s'est arrêté à Montréal-Ouest dimanche soir. Les milliers de spectateurs ont eu droit à un grand spectacle grâce aux artistes sur la scène et au décor de le train lui-même. Je tiens à remercier nos services de loisirs, de la sécurité publique et des travailleurs. Le CP a généreusement fait une don d'un chèque de 5 000 $ au le dépôt du centre alimentaire communautaire, un montant bien nécessaire en ce temps difficile. Please continue to stay safe, stay vigilant, and stay healthy. Thank you very much. We're going to go back now to the regular meeting. Just to give me a chance to catch my breath, normally it would be Councillor Yulin. I'll read a report, but at the end. Colleen, can I ask you to go ahead with seat number 3?
Absolutely. Okay, good evening, bonsoir tout le monde. I'll start my report tonight with the finance portfolio. Just a reminder that the due date for your water tax bill was November the 24th, and as of today, 82% has been paid. Les lettres de renouvellement des permis de stationnement et des permis pour chiens pour l'année 2023 ont été envoyées le 31 octobre. La procédure est détaillée dans les lettres. Les permis peuvent être payés par voie électronique par la poste ou au comptoir de service de l'hôtel de ville. Also, we're continuing on the 2023 budget, as the mayor has just mentioned. I wanted to remind everyone that the presentation of the budget will be held at a special meeting on Monday, December the 19th at 7:30 p.m. prior to our regular council meeting, which takes place at 8 p.m. Le budget 2023 sera présenté lors d'une réunion spéciale qui aura lieu le lundi 19 décembre à 19h30 avant la réunion ordinaire du conseil. Also on finance, disbursements for this month, you'll see later in the meeting that we're passing disbursements of about $711,343. Just to let you know where your tax dollars are going, about 33% of that goes to the deductions at source, benefits, and utilities. So that amounts to about $250,000. After that, the next largest expenditure was for infrastructure, and that was 24%, and that totaled about $170,000. The largest share of that was $138,000 for the architects and engineering plans for our new recreation center, which keeps evolving. Also, we paid $20,000 for the town's share of repairs to the tennis clubhouse, which is our building. The next largest expenses after that are $50,000 for the garbage, which I always say is the garbage and recycling and compost, and $30,000 for the environment and trees. And that most of that money actually was for tree cutting and trimming. In addition, there was $22,000 spent for the arena, and that's for tests and the preparation for the winter season. So those are the main expenditures for this past month. On to recreation now. Seniors activities, we have a few things coming up. First of all, December 8th will be a free talk by Senior Discovery Tours on rails and sails. Then December 14th, there is a trip to Upper Canada Playhouse to see the play A Christmas Carol. And on December 17th will be the annual Christmas dinner at the Town Hall. So we do hope we have a lot of people come out to those events. Now, at the community, registration is open for fitness classes and for the children's programs. Added to our January schedule is pickleball on Monday and Friday evenings at Edinburgh School, starting mid-January. Please go to Amelia to look for details. Et les programmes d'hiver commencent la semaine du 9 janvier 2023. March Break Spring Camp will be held from March the 6th to the 10th, and registration opens on December 12th. In terms of events that we just had passed, we had a wonderful remembrance, a lot of events regarding remembrance. We had roots and remembrance events, thanks very much to our Veterans Affairs Canada funding. We had a walk to remember, a remembrance ceremony, a remembrance lecture, and wartime music, and they were all great successes and well attended. I'm very proud, and I mentioned this in a recent article in the Informer, very proud of our little community and everything which they do around this very meaningful and important event. Even the Globe and Mail, which is Canada's largest circulation newspaper, reported on our events. The link to the Globe and Mail article can be found on our website under Roots and Remembrance. And I want to give a heartfelt thanks to Dr. Bob Drummond, Professor David O'Keefe, retired Professor Dr. Craig Morrison, for contributing their time and expertise to these events. And in addition to the many residents who attended, we also had participation from all our schools, well, from Montréal-Ouest Academy, from Edinburgh, and from Elizabeth Ballantyne School. And all that was coordinated by our resident, Tracy Strim, along with our recreation department. So thank you for all these wonderful, memorable events. In terms of upcoming events, we have several because of Christmas and the holiday season coming up. We have Santa's Breakfast on Sunday, December the 11th. In addition to being a really fun event, it'll also be a fundraiser for our new recreation center. Tickets are available online and they are already selling quickly. So I encourage you to go online and buy your tickets if you are interested. Also, we will be having contests, a holiday tree, pet portraits, and a gingerbread house contest. And the deadline for that is December the 18th. Also, information is on the website. We will also have a holiday skate on Sunday, December the 18th at the arena from 1 to 2:30 p.m. with music, animation, and hot chocolate. We are also this year, because there are those less fortunate, going to continue with our food collection. On a une collecte de denrées non périssables de 1 au 15 décembre 2022. La Ville vous invite à amener vos dons à un de nos 3 lieux de collecte. So a town invites you to bring non-perishable donations to any one of our 3 drop-off locations, l'Hôtel de Ville, and if the weather complies, we can start making ice before Christmas. Holiday pickup hockey and free skate times from December the 23rd to January 6th will be posted on the website. And all for summer employment, as all the jobs will be posted on the town website in early December. Tous les emplois d'été seront publiés sur le site web au début du mois de décembre. Attention les étudiants. And finally, on the Seniors Matter dossier, the Seniors Advisory Committee met last week and had a very successful meeting. They were outlining their priorities for 2023. The committee will continue to move forward with the objectives of the MATA plan and will hold a consultation with residents to bring them up to date on the plan and seek further input. So that's it for me. Merci beaucoup. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me later in the meeting or send me an email. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. She was reporting on matters pertaining to finance, recreation, and topics related to the status of an age-friendly municipality. And now from seat number 4, reporting on matters pertaining to urban planning, Councillor Maria Torres.
Good evening and bonsoir à tous. From mid-October to mid-November, the Urban Planning Department issued a total of 17 permits. Half of them were issued for public domain interventions and the other half for modifications to properties. During this time, there were 8 notices issued, 3 for lack of maintenance and 4 for no respect in the town.
These new regulations will come into force in January 2023, and there will be a rigorous information campaign accompanying the rollout. Additionally, the town has officially partnered with Enough Canada, a waste reduction organization, to train and provide waste ambassadors for some of our larger events. These ambassadors will guide and answer residents' questions about how to be more waste conscious. Finally, you may have seen groups of McGill environmental students going door to door. They have partnered with the town to conduct research on a variety of environmental issues, including our tree canopy, our greenhouse gas emissions, etc. We have partnered with this McGill department for many years, and it's been a win-win for both of us. They're able to conduct research for their degrees, and we get access to the thorough reports they generate. Switching to the communications portfolio, the department was busy this month working on the public fundraising campaign for the new Sports and Recreation Center. Information about the water meter replacement initiative for our business sector and the launch of a financial assistance program for the merchants on Westminster. Details which can be found on the website. That's a report for Councillor Yulin. Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. We'll move to our first question period. So, Mr. Marcuzzi, if you have any questions, I'm going to invite you to step up to the microphone, ask your question. Remember, it's not a debate period. Go ahead, sir.
Daniel Marcus, 446 Wolseley North. Yes, my question was going to be, first of all, my first question was going to be to Councillor Yulin. I had a little bit of correspondence with her. Unfortunately, she's not here, but it pertains to street cleaning. First of all, our street cleaning ends on November 15th. The city of Montreal is November 30th. I don't know why it cannot be the same. Makes sense. But in any case, the last day of street cleaning was November 15th. There was no snow that day. And on my street, Wolseley, between Radcliffe and Edinburgh, the street was not cleaned. When we found out, or when we saw that it's not being cleaned between 12:30 and 2:30, we wrote and asked why, and predictably the sweeper was broken. But that was the last day of street cleaning. There were no cars parked on that street. Why didn't Public Works send a bulldozer to clear all the leaves from that street? And in any case, right now you can go to the north side and the streets are full of leaves. They're piled up or they're along the sidewalk. That has to be taken care of before the snow. So,
Okay, so we'll pass that question along to Councillor Yulin. I do see an answer that she sent, I guess that's your wife, Kitty?
Yes,
Kitty Marcuzzi?
yes.
It says, I've received information back from Public Works on your questions. We can no longer clean streets after the first snowfall with the sweeper. The lines have to be winterized. And this year the snow came earlier than the norm. If there is time and weather permits, Public Works will go around the town with the loader to pick up the leaves. It's worth noting, however, that the leaves on your street were not piled by Public Works, but by a public contractor clearing lawns.
well, I don't know what she saw. What she saw on my street. There are no piles on my street, just a lot of leaves along the street. But in any case, are we only going to clean leaves that were piled up by Public Works? Any leaves are not, other leaves are not being picked up by Public Works? And we say these leaves will be picked up by Public Works and these leaves are not going to be picked up by Public Works? It doesn't work. But in any case, that was before the day before the snow. And there was an opportunity for the Public Works to come and clean the street. And they didn't do it, whether with a sweeper or a loader.
Okay.
They had the choice. Not only that, public security came on 12:30 and ticketed 2 cars on that street, even though they probably knew that there was nobody coming to clean the street. Why did they bother giving tickets? It's not right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Marcuzzi. I appreciate that. Do you have another
I have
question?
another question.
Sure.
It's
And before we change topics, I just want to make sure that everybody noted that Mr. Marcuzzi thinks that the way that the city of Montreal does things is the better way. So we'll
it's
talk
not-
tomorrow when you see the budget coming, Mr.
Well,
Marcuzzi.
I'm not saying they're doing it better. All I'm saying is that they have a different date for
No
street
problem.
cleaning.
That's fair. I'm just pulling your leg. Go ahead with your second question.
But
sir.
the second question, actually, you mentioned that there are going to be some nasty surprises with taxes. And what I'm afraid there will be nasty surprises with taxes once the recreation center being built. And I would like you to tell us what is your estimation of the additional tax burden on us? Is it going to be $100, $200, $500, $1,000 per household?
That's a fair question, Mr. Marcuzzi. I cannot give you that answer now because we have not gone to tender. If I were to put it out there now that our estimate was $10 and we go to tender, you can be sure that nothing will come in less than $10. It's good management not to put out your estimates. However, on January 5th, when we go to call for tenders, we should get that back hopefully the beginning of February, and then we'll be able to say, okay, Mr. Marcuzzi, the bids came in at $15, and this is what it should translate to for your tax bill. So we can't do it before then until we get back, because even if my estimates say $10, when I go to public tender and the amounts come back $15, it's a different discussion. So I cannot give you specifics until I get that answer back. But I can tell you for sure that this upcoming budget has nothing, the rec center is not in there at all.
I appreciate it.
To have been spending big money that we have to start taxing.
I understand, but the thing, initially when the whole project came about, there was an assumption that it would be about $100
We would try and keep that. That was to the average house, and that was probably in 2017 when we started having that
It's 5
conversation.
years, yes.
Absolutely, Mr. Marcuzzi. That number is going to change. We'll have that whole discussion all together, all of us.
But if it's $500 or $1,000, are you still going to proceed?
We're going to have a whole discussion, all of us, when it comes
Okay.
time for that.
Okay.
I absolutely, to be based on some things from 5 years ago. So when we have the updated numbers, when we see what the real numbers are, because the system has changed now, when we see what the real numbers are, when we get back our estimates, and when we see what we've actually collected, then we'll have a better idea. We're going to say to you, Mr. Marcuzzi, we think it's going to be X dollars, and we can have that discussion then. That'll be a real number. Okay?
And would they make a difference at that time? Will you consult the people and say there's a different estimate now?
We
than
will
it
have that
was?
discussion, Mr. Marcuzzi. We will have that discussion,
Okay.
absolutely. Thank you. So since there's nobody else in the room, we're going to move to the questions that were submitted online. First question comes from Kevin Aladdin, 59 Promenade Courtney. Is there any possibility to have a list of dates for the Easton construction team a few weeks in advance? I know the town communicates the dates when they have them, but it would be nice to get some dates further in advance. And that's a fair point, Mr. Aladdin. So now we do have dates going down all the way till December 21st. So I see the next one is Wednesday the 30th, Friday the 2nd, Monday the 5th, Wednesday the 7th, Thursday the 8th, Friday the 9th, Monday the 19th, and Monday the 21st. So those dates will be put on the website, and we've asked that as far as ahead that they can give it to us so people can plan alternate routes accordingly. Second part of his question, do we have a projected completion date? I thought it was March. What was the original date? You're right, the original date was March 2023, and the last revised update that we have from them is December 2023. Next question, thank you for your questions, Mr. Aladdin. Next question comes from Sylvia Gervais, 164 Wolseley North. And thank you for addressing my situation from the last council meeting. I hope these individuals get more done. Councillor Feeney, if you want to add something on that, please.
Yes, Sylvia, thank you very much for your, well, not your questions, thank you very much for your statement. And yeah, whenever we can, we do try to take care of the situation, and I'm glad it worked out to your satisfaction. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney, and thank you very much for your question, Mrs. Gervais. Next question comes from Judy Kennedy, 151 Strathern North. Can I use 1 or 2 120-liter gray plastic bales to put my garbage in, as the maximum is 240 liters per single dwelling? I do not have a 240-liter bin on wheels and do not want to buy one. Thank you for your attention. Councillor Torres, can you answer in Councillor Yulin's absence, please?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for your question, Judy. You mentioned that you have 1 or 2 bins, 120 liters each one. What we are looking for, and one of the main purposes of this bylaw is to reduce the garbage. So we don't want you to be throwing your garbage cans now with the garbage. So yes, you absolutely can use your garbage can. The only thing is you can use only one at a time. It's a maximum 240 liters. So if it is 120, it's 240 liters. So you can use that. And that's it. You don't have to buy. Just put it at one at a time. One can, maximum 240 liters. That's all. I hope I answered your question. Thank you so much for asking.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, Judy Kennedy. Next question comes from Susan LG, 37. Would be beneficial to all of us if wood-burning stoves and fireplaces were banned. Any information on this topic would be appreciated. Thank you, Susan. So we have not come to any kind of an agreement yet, Ms. LG, on where we're going. We have had discussions around the table, but we're not at the point where we're going to propose a bylaw yet. Our thinking is that we were not going to ban existing fireplaces. We may limit new build fireplaces or encourage the use of more efficient burning fireplaces, fireplace inserts. We may be talking about not being able to use your fireplace on certain smog days. Those are like what I think are probably the minimums that we're looking at, but we have not made a decision yet. we would be talking about that. My guess is that we'll have some bylaw ready for 2023, in the year 2023. I wish I could give you more information than that, but that's just how we're leaning these days. Thank you for your question, Susan LJ. Next question comes from Mr. Farah Issa. 2 questions. On Ronald Drive, after passing the overpass, 5 street lights are out since a good while. Repair should have been done to avoid accidents and danger to the public. And the second part, has the city ever inspected the ventilation and odor filtration of the city-approved grow-op on Ronald Drive? If yes, the dates, and by city inspector or by ventilation company. And on several occasions, the odor of marijuana is overwhelming. Thank you. So I'm going to answer just the first part, Mr. Issa. I will make sure that Public Work knows about the lights out on Ronald Drive. They may have not noticed them. They may have had to order pieces. I don't know what the answer is, but I'll make sure that they follow up with it. And before I turn it over to Councillor Torres, the city, it's not the city that approves that grow-up. The city does not have that. They have a federal license, and they were approved by the federal government. But Councillor Torres, please add what you need to add on to that.
Yes, so thank you for bringing this issue to our attention, Mr. Issa. So what we're going to do 2 things. One of them is, since it's Health Canada who issued this permit, we're going to let them know so they can inspect it, find out if ventilation is up to code. And we are also, the town of Montreal-Ouest is going to send one of our public security to go and inspect and see if there is an issue with ventilation and all that. So thank you so much again for bringing this to our attention, and these are the 2 steps we will be taking. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you very much for your questions, Mr. Farah Issa. Next questions were actually asked by 2 different people, so I'll kind of read them. James Mullally of 112 Broughton and Henri Chenier of 430 Hudson Avenue. Do we have an estimate yet for what the new recreation center is going to cost? I understand that it has to go to tender, but I heard that based on architectural plans, it could be around $40 million. And Mr. Chenier adds, according to the Informer, it was mentioned that over 2,000 residents received the survey, but that only 1,576 taxpayers in our town. So who responded to the survey, and why did they send it to non-taxpayers? And I've requested a number of ballpark quotes from builders, and that they stated that the cost of the center will be at least $35 million plus cost overruns and borrowing costs. Why are you not telling the citizens what it's going to cost them? So to answer the questions for both gentlemen, the center, we do have some estimates. We do not publish those estimates, because as soon as you publish those estimates, you could the plans and the appel d'offres. At that point, we plan to offer it out at the beginning of January. They come in at $15. So that's kind of the answer. And in terms for Mr. Chenier, just to correct things, Mr. Chenier, I'm just going to get the notes back here a second. On a minute here. There was a misquote, Mr. Chenier, so you did not, it was not correct that we put it out to 1,500 taxpayers. I think it was to 1,500 residents, but let me get the real thing here to make sure.
Can we answer that one?
Yeah, Colleen, sure. You
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to send me the information. I appreciate
yeah,
it. Thank you.
it made me look back in the Informer, and I thought, no, this is not the way. In fact, what we said is we had sent out the survey to almost 1,900 households, and from that we got back 818 replies. And considering that each household is easily more than 2 people, that's our average in this town, we estimated that 818 households accounted for probably around 2,000 residents. So we didn't say we sent the survey out to the 2,000 particular people, and it only went out to people who live in Montreal-West, and all the responses were received from Montreal-West residents.
Thank you very much, Colleen, and thank you for your questions, Mr. Chenier and Mr. Mullally. Next question comes from Linda Hammerschmidt, 226 Ballantyne North. Given all the leaves have yet to fall from our trees, and given the age of some of the residents who cannot themselves rake the leaves, as gardeners refuse to do unless they may use leaf blowers, would you please extend the deadline from November 30th, and they don't clear the leaves in the rain either, to December 15th? And could you please make the extension an annual one, as we face the same issue every year? Thank you, Linda. Councillor Torres, please.
Yes, thank you. Hi, Linda. I don't, well, this is one of the reasons the period of breaking the lease, the blowers was moved from October 15th to November 1st to the end of November to give time for the leaves to fall and all that. So it has already been extended. It has already been changed. At the moment, we don't see a point or how can I put this? I think we just moved it. Let's see how it goes this year. Maybe it's a subject for the future. But I think for the time being, it's going to stay till December 1st. But I'd like to add something else, and is the possibility of not even breaking the leaves and leaving them on the ground for environmental reasons. So this needs to be reviewed maybe next year, but for the time being, it's going to stay till December 1st. In any case, by December 15th, we might have snow and cover all the leaves. So sorry about that. Thank you, Linda, once again.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. Thank you very much for your question, Linda Hammerschmidt. Next question comes from Harold. What is the reason for the change in the rules on garbage? Has the company collecting garbage made an issue of them, of items not in the 240-liter bin? Most of us do not have the time or vehicle for transporting items to the LaSalle Eco Center. I have lived long enough in Montreal-West to remember when garbage did not even need to be put out on the street. It was picked up behind the house and they almost took everything. Service was so much better then. So if I'm going to just jump in and answer that, Councillor Torres. Yes, Mr. Knowles, I do remember that time too when they came around the back of the house. That was probably the same time that they weren't repairing any streets too. So I'm kind of liking things more where they are right now. The reason why we're limiting it to 240-liter bins is because we're trying to reduce the amount that people are putting into the garbage, into the landfills. We much prefer that you move towards recycling. That's why we're leaving them up to 360-liter bins for recycling, and we have the door-to-door compost. Those are the reasons for those, so you try and reduce the things that are going into the garbage. That's why we're trying to limit it to a 240-liter bin. Councillor Torres, is there anything you needed to add to that, or was that good?
Well, yeah, I would like to add something because I think Elizabeth had explained it on her report and also the report today, one of the reasons why we need to do this. But there is a fact that is not really well publicized, and it's the fact that we send all our garbage. Montreal takes care of all our garbage, but our landfill will be or is almost full. They predict that if we continue at this rate of throwing bill is full. So you can imagine what we're going to do with tons of garbage that we throw every day. So this is us taking responsibility as individuals and as a town to reduce as much as we can and to increase, as Mayor said, recycling, composting, reusing, refusing to buy stuff, and everything else that we can do to help the environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, Mr. Knowles. Next question comes from Elaine Maire, 38 Westland Drive. Première question, ou plutôt demande. Que lors des prochains événements de ramassage DDD, ça veut dire déchets domestiques dangereux, la Ville en profite pour faire venir un camion de déchiquetage des documents contenant des renseignements personnels à détruire sur place et nous rendre nos boîtes en carton, comme le faisait la Ville de Brossard. Trop de papier pour déchiqueter avec notre petite déchiqueteuse à la maison. Impôts, depuis plusieurs années, des factures de comptes, etc. Merci. Et le deuxième point, de sécurité pour les aînés, l'état des trottoirs pour la marche et des rues à traverser, réparer, s'il vous plaît, le plus rapidement possible. Alors, je vais adresser la première question à Madame Maire. Malheureusement, c'est un service dispendieux pour faire venir une compagnie, disons, comme Shred-it ou quelque chose comme ça. Je présume qu'ils ont des limites. Je ne suis pas sûr que c'est une chose que la Ville a des moyens de le faire eux-mêmes. Mais nous avons soulevé le point, et je l'ai utilisé moi-même aussi. Vous pouvez amener vos boîtes à bureau en gros. Ils vont le déchiqueter pour vous. Le frais est basé sur le poids que vous les amenez, le poids ou le volume que vous les amenez, et c'est assez facile pour le faire. Alors ça, c'est une option. Je comprends que vous ne voulez pas le mettre dans le recyclage. Je comprends facilement ça. Mais peut-être quelque chose comme bureau en gros, c'est un service que vous pouvez en profiter. Et pour la deuxième partie, peut-être c'est la conseillère Fini qui peut le répondre.
Oui, Monsieur le maire. Et merci, Madame maire, pour votre question. Il est vrai que nous avons un déficit important dans nos travaux d'infrastructure depuis des décennies. Nous essayons d'y remédier chaque année avec nos réparations et nos renouvellements d'infrastructures et nous avons dépensé des millions de dollars au cours des dernières années. Nous allons continuer à le faire. Par exemple, pour les réparations du trottoir, nous prévoyons un budget de 5 à 75 millions dollars.
Comes from Mike Elise, 62 Promenade Ronald. We have submitted a petition of 86 signatures of parents, citizens, and educators asking the city to please reopen the pathway between Courtney and Ronald during the winter months. It has only been closed for the past few years, and prior to that was open as long as some of our most senior residents can recall, at least 50 years of history or more. The path is a fire escape to the youngest students at the daycare and a vital route for foot traffic and kids sledding. If it is a liability, how safe was it? How was it safe for 50 years? So I'm going to Lauren Small Pennefather, please.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Ali. Just to give you an idea, that pathway over the course of the winter months has actually been closed for the last decade, and that's due to safety issues. So that has been closed for 10 years. And I wanted to also address your point also about the evacuation plan for the local daycare. And of course, we've also approached the owners of the daycare, and they're aware that they need to present a safe evacuation plan, which needs to be approved by the SIM, which still needs to be done by the daycare. But again, that passageway has been closed over the last decade due to safety concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small Pennefather, and thank you for your question, Mr. Ali. Next question comes from Marie Bellin, 77 Brock North. I'm sorry to bring this up again, but I would ask Council to revisit the current method of leaf pickup, which involves motorized vehicles stacking the leaves into a giant pile in selected places, only to get shoveled into trucks at 2-week intervals. If it freezes or snows, a real mess ensues. Even if it doesn't, the piles spread out because of wind and because of citizens adding their own leaves and other detritus to these eyesores. There must be a better solution. A cost-effective study of alternative methods like vacuuming, as done years ago, is needed. I stand to be corrected, Mrs. Bellin, but from what I understand, the usual method has to do with our vacuum, our street sweeper, which is a vacuum. I think there's situations when there's extraneous situations, like what Mr. Marcuzzi was speaking about before, when leaves get left on the street, that then the city will come by and use their loader or something like that. But by and large, the majority of it is picked up with the street sweeper, which also has the vacuum attachment to it. So, but I will pass that comment along to Public Works to see if there's some lacune in their procedures. So thank you very much for your question. Next question comes from Alistair O'Hara, 63 Nelson Street. Can a tempo shelter be erected in a backyard parking place? Councillor Torres, please.
Yes, thank you for your question, and the answer is no. Our bylaws do not allow tempos on our properties, whether it's the front or the back of the parking lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, Mrs. O'Hara. Next question comes from Peter Cooney, 101 Brock South. Thank you for answering my questions. Read trucks on Avon and the traffic mess being made by the new condo mentioned in the Informer. Can I pester Lachine to get their act together and establish a truck route? Note, thankful for our maintenance crew who usually helps direct traffic on Avon during the Christmas train. The bird's eye man noticed that the police car on the corner of Avon and Brock did not get out of his car or her car and direct the traffic mess. Years past, your guys stopped traffic and helped families across the street. Thank you, Mr. Cooney. I would happily suggest if you can add some citizen pressure to Lachine to develop or to allow us or to authorize us or to approve our truck route, that would be much appreciated. Thank you for your question, Mr. Cooney. Next question comes from Anne McLaughlin, 59 Strathern. Poopgate, okay? Can a town garbage and recycling bin be installed in the parking lot on the corner of Percival Milner, similar to the one in the Strathern parking lot? Thanks. And it will be evaluated, Mrs. McLaughlin. My guess is that'll probably be happening in the spring. Thank you for your question. Next questions from two different people come from Laura Cousineau at 239 Percival and from Catherine Lund at 14 Fairfield Crescent. The first question, this one is from Laura Cousineau, specifically to Councillor Small-Pennefather. I would like to know if there are bylaws in Montreal-West that forbid residents from leaving household hazardous waste at the curb for garbage pickup. Recently, I've seen computers, television sets, and paint cans left at the curb. It could be that they have arranged for a special pickup from Public Works, and if this is so, does Public Works then drop these items at the Eco Center? If there is an existing bylaw, how is it being enforced? And the second part that corresponds to her question and to Catherine Lund's question, climate change is now at the top of mind for many people. In the last 50 years, we've lost 70% of wild fauna on the planet. Yet I'm hopeful that our community will commit to doing all it can to help stem the harmful effects of climate change. In early December, Montreal will be hosting a major United Nations Nature Conference. I would like to know if Montreal-West will be joining Mayor Valérie Plante in signing a pro-diversity pledge. And that's the same thing that the question came from Kathleen Lund, saying that Montreal is having this COP15 biodiversity conference and wants to know if Montreal-West will take the challenge to take 15 tangible actions towards pursuing and accelerating the efforts to preserve the ecosystems. So the first question, I'm going to pass it to Councillor Lauren Small-Pennefather, and the second one, Councillor Torres will answer. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you very much for your question, Laura. With regards to appropriate disposal of items, we actually do have a bylaw that exists, a disposal bylaw 2009-013, that exists with regards to appropriate disposal. And yes, our garbage collector is instructed not to pick up items such as paint and furniture and computers. And when Public Works does dispose of these items, they are disposed of appropriately through the Eco Center or other centers that take a curb. That residents are informed that special arrangements need to be made with Public Works to remove such items. If the items do remain, of course, Public Security will go knock on the door and let the resident know that they need to be disposed of appropriately by contacting Public Works. And if they are continue to be ignored, of course, there are warnings and there are fines under the disposal bylaw. Thank you for your question, Laura.
And Councillor Torres, if you could answer the second part, please. The second question from Ms. Cousineau and from Ms. Lund.
Yes, I was not ready, but yeah, I think she was going to do it.
Oh, you were going to
Since
do
she
it?
has more
I
information.
apologize. Go ahead, Councillor Small-Pennefather. I apologize. Go ahead.
No problem at all. So as you're aware, thank you very much, Ms. Lund and Laura, for your question with regards to the Convention on Biological Diversity that's coming up from the 6th to the 19th of December. Not just being your municipal town councillor, as you know, I'm also a federal public servant, and I'm currently on assignment with Environment and Climate Change Canada, specifically for the Canada Pavilion at the Palais de Congrès. And of course, along with Mayor Plante, we are looking, of course, at this diversity pledge, and certainly are looking at being a signatory to that pledge, and we'll be discussing that with our Environment Committee on ways that we can look at those 15 actions that can have an impact. And as you know, I think Councillor Torres also referred to this previously, there's a lot of things that we can do at a grassroots level. I'm very, very impressed that we have a very implicated community that want to make changes with regards to the impacts of climate change. So absolutely, we are looking at becoming a signatory to that pledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lauren Small-Pennefather, and thank you anyway, Councillor Torres. Next question comes from Kathleen Douglas, 160 Northview. Cannot Montreal-West, as apparently done by Côte-Saint-Luc and Hampstead, arrange for water testing for all homes that are likely to have lead in their drinking water from town supply pipes? Residents seem expected to accept having to filter drinking water. Those wishing tests first must arrange such privately. Initial testing info found unusable. Updated source Eurofins EnviroX charges $150 plus $25 delivery unless going to Longueuil for the required container. Lastly, it seems that the town does test drinking water for 10 to 20 properties per year. Could we have a report on those, example, result, company used, and cost? Thank you for taking the questions. Ms. Douglas, the testing is done actually by the City of Montreal. It's the City of Montreal that has the mandate for the to test for to supply potable water. So I'm not sure which company they're using and which labs they're using. In terms of Côte St. Luc and Hampstead, we checked with them, and it's not clear that they're doing all the homes, quite honestly. They're saying you need to take appointments. If you've had your water tested in the past, it can't be retested again. So I'm not exactly sure what they're offering. You do make point that we're offering a filter system, as Côte St. Luc, and I think Hampstead may as well. We're offering a system for people who are likely to have water on the likely streets, that they can come to the town and we'll give them a refund for some of the water, some of the filters that they've purchased. I hope that answers the questions. Thank you for your question, Kathleen Douglas. So that takes care of public question period. We're going to move back to the agenda. Number 9, no, there's nothing in number 9. Number 10, Administration and Finances. 10A, Approval of Disbursements for October 22nd to November 25th, 2022.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. I move that the list of accounts payable from October 22nd to November 25th, 2022, totaling $711,343.03, be approved and paid as listed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, can I have a seconder, please?
I second it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Délégation de pouvoir pour le mois de novembre 2022.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose que soit approuvé le rapport de la directrice générale par intérim concernant l'exercice du pouvoir délégué en vertu du règlement numéro 2005/002 pour le mois de novembre 2022.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie, Monsieur le maire.
Merci, la conseillère Simon-Pennefather. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Parfait, merci. Transfert budgétaire pour les élections.
Oh oui, Monsieur le maire. Attendu qu'il est estimé qu'un montant budgétaire de 105 000 $ sera requis pour couvrir les dépenses liées aux élections de 2025, attendu qu'il reste un solde de 32 806 $ et 7 sous de la partie de surplus affecté qui avait été dédiée aux élections de 2021. En conséquence, je propose qu'un montant de 18 048 $ et 48 sous provenant du surplus libre, poste 55-991-00-000, soit transféré au surplus affecté, poste 55-992-00000, et dédié aux prochaines élections.
Merci, la conseillère Feeney. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire.
Merci, la conseillère Simon-Pennefather. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Parfait, merci. Urban Department, Site Planning Projects and Architectural Integration Program, SPAIP.
I move to acknowledge receipt of the minutes of a meeting held by the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, on November 23rd, 2022. To approve as presented under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 10 replacement of 4 basement windows, 24 garden, reconstruction of the front landing, stairs and railings. To approve with conditions under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 220 Bedbrook, construction of a new recreation center building. To defer the examination of the following plans to a next meeting of this council in accordance with the recommendation of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 75 Valentine North, replacement of the front door and painting of the back door. 1012 Wolseley South, replacement of 2 patio doors and 23 windows and removal of 2 windows. 10 Fairfield, replacement of 5 windows and the front door unit.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, can I have a seconder, please?
I second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Simon-Pennefather, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank Thank you very much. A minor exemption request, 20 Fenwick, please. If I could ask Councillor Torres just to give a little brief synopsis.
Yes, this is a house, 20 Fenwick, that it was recently sold, and they need to normalize the front setback from the front porch to the sidewalk. The difference is a little bit over a foot difference. I would like to note that this has already been advertised in the newspapers and no comments were received since the publication. So I'd like to move that the plans and requests submitted to the November 2nd, 2022 meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be approved in accordance with bylaws 2020-002 and G-18-0005 for the following minor exceptions from paragraph 6 of section 4.1.10 and the schedule of uses and standards in effect under 3.2.2 of the zoning bylaw regarding the immovable located at 20 Fenwick in zone RB-7. 2. Normalize a deck located in the front setback of the main building despite the prohibition in that zone, the consequence being to overlook it. Normalize the setback in the front yard of the deck attached to the main building, which is 4.2 meters instead of the maximum 4.57 meters required in that zone. The consequence being to reduce the requirement by 0.37 meters.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, can I have a seconder, please?
I second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Small-Pennefather, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. On passe maintenant aux demandes d'aide financière pour la taxe d'assises sur l'essence. Une mise à jour, s'il vous plaît.
Attendu que la Ville a pris connaissance de guides relatifs aux modalités de versement de la contribution gouvernementale dans le cadre du programme de la taxe sur l'essence et la contribution du Québec TECQ pour les années 2019 à 2023. Attendu que la Ville doit respecter des modalités et de guides qui s'appliquent à elle afin de recevoir la contribution au montant de 2 414 646 $ qui lui a été confirmé par le ministère des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation pour l'installation, la mise aux normes et la mise nouveau d'équipements d'eau potable et d'assainissement des eaux priorité 1 et le renouvellement de conduites d'eau potable et d'égouts priorité 3. En conséquence, je propose, numéro 1, que la Ville de Montréal-Ouest s'engage à respecter des modalités applicables de guide mentionnées à préambule. 2. Que la Ville convient d'être seule responsable et de dégager les gouvernements du Canada et du Québec ainsi que leurs ministres, hautes fonctionnaires, employés mandataires de toute responsabilité quant aux réclamations, exigences, pertes, dommages et coûts de toutes sortes ayant comme fondement une blessure infligée à une personne incluant le décès de celle-ci et des dommages causés et des biens ou la perte des biens attribuables à un acte délibéré ou négligent découlant directement ou indirectement des investissements réalisés au moyen de l'aide financière obtenue dans le cadre du programme de la TECQ 2019-2023. Numéro 3. Que la Ville approuve le contenu et autorise l'envoi au ministère des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation de la programmation partielle des travaux jointes à la présente résolution, dossier 11666047, version numéro 4, et de tous les autres documents exigés par les ministres en vue de recevoir la contribution qui lui a été confirmée par le ministre tel qu'énoncé au préambule. 4. Que la Ville s'engage à atteindre le seuil minimal d'immobilisation en fin de facturation municipale fixé à 50 $ par habitant et par année, soit un total de 250 000 par habitant pour l'ensemble des 5 années du programme. Numéro 5. Que la Ville s'engage à informer le ministre des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation de toute modification qui sera apportée à la programmation des travaux approuvés par la présente résolution. Numéro 6. Que la Ville atteste par la présente résolution que la programmation de travaux ci-jointe, version numéro 4, comporte des coûts réalisés, véridiques et reflètent les prévisions de coûts des travaux admissibles.
Merci, la conseillère Small-Pen. Father, je peux avoir de l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci. Next, we're going to deposit of documents. We're going to deposit the petition that I mentioned in the question from Mr. Eli. A petition was filed on behalf of the 86 residents, educators, and users of the Little Learners Daycare who signed it in order to ask the town to keep open in wintertime the public stairs between the two streets mentioned in the title of this item. And in 15B, we're making notice that we're depositing the declarations of pecuniary interests for the counselors that are here this evening. The only one that we haven't received yet is Councillor Yulin. She's not here. So this is the declaration of pecuniary interests that the counselors may have. In other words, any chances that we're doing any work with some company that may be doing work with the town, or if we're holding some position with some company that may be doing work with the town. That's it there's no notice of adoption or reading or adoption of bylaws. We're going to move to the second question period, and we have received a question tonight. So the question comes from Julian Mazzoni. Let me get there, I'm sorry here. Let me get to the top. The question comes from Julian Mazzoni, 49 Parkside. Hi, Mr. Mayor and Council. I hope you're doing well. I was wondering, can I still use my 360-liter garbage bin I bought back in 2011, or do I have to get a 240-liter bin? Councillor Torres, please.
Hi, Julian, and it's so nice to hear from you. We haven't heard from you in a very long time. Unfortunately, I do believe that, yes, in your case, because the maximum is 240 liters, and we have to make absolutely sure that nobody throws more garbage than that. That's all we can take, right?
That's right.
So,
That's exactly right.
sorry about that, and anyhow, I don't know, try to find the use for your 360 liter. I know you'll find something. You're very creative, okay? Thank you so much, Julian.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, Julian Mazzoni. And that concludes our meeting. So je peux avoir quelqu'un pour proposer l'ouverture. Excuse. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Marcuzzi, I apologize, sir. I should have asked you before I even went to the online ones. I'm sorry, Mr. Marcuzzi.
Actually, my question is regarding the garbage bins.
Yes.
Why don't you provide, like the city of Kotsenlook, those garbage bins? I know they charge for it, but and the people are able to get it through the city. I think it costs them $50 or something like this, and it's standardized. And then the garbage pickup company can pick it up, all the same garbage bins. In possibly, we can do it every 2 weeks rather than every week. And this would also encourage people to compost rather than throw garbage into the garbage bin. I know I have one garbage bag every week, that's it.
That's the way it is when you have a smaller family and you're doing the right things, Mr. Marcuzzi. You're saying to encourage people to use less garbage and to more towards recycling. I have to be honest with you. First off, when we first looked at this, we looked at what the cost would be for the town to provide the bins, because we're thinking a little bit down the road. We're actually thinking of going to the way some other municipalities are starting to look at it now, where you pay for the number of times that they come pick up. So in other words, you get a certain number of pickups free in the year, and then after that you're charged by a certain amount. It's a minimal amount, but it's just enough to dissuade you from doing that. And then if we were to go that way, then we have to buy special bins. We have to buy special bins at that point because they have to have special RFID tags on them and things along those lines. So to be able to keep that door open, and because we couldn't afford to have pay for the bins, now regular bins, and then change them again hopefully in a couple of years when we go to this other system, that's why we said, okay, a lot of people already have the 250s, the 240s. The people that don't, well, they'll get the 240s, but we may eventually go to that system where we're paying for the number of times that we pick up. So that's the main question. I didn't realize that my mom's a resident of Côte-Saint-Luc, and I don't think that she paid for her bin. So I don't know that for a fact, but I remember her telling me that.
They charge it for the annual taxes.
Oh, it's possible. It's possible. Yeah.
Is there, by the way, do you have to put the garbage in a garbage bin, or is it because some people leave the garbage in a bag, and then you have all those animals eating them?
That's a very good point as well. That's one of the things that we're putting into our bylaw. We won't allow you to have bags. Everything has to go into the bin.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That's what's coming next.
That's a big problem.
It's a big program, and like I said, it's not like January 1st we're going to start issuing tickets. No, it's a question of doing some sensitization and doing some education so that people have a time to adapt and get into it. And then who knows, maybe down the line, a couple of years when we're reevaluating the system, maybe at that point we're going to look at during the winter about going only every second week or something like that. But we're not there yet. Right now, this is the first step.
Okay, and my other question is the approval, and I just want to make sure that I understand. Number 4, 220 bedroom, that's actually the arena, right?
Yes, sir.
So the plan for the new arena and the recreation center was approved.
This is something that went through PAC so that they had their look at it to see at the aesthetics. They've approved the aesthetics. Now, they made some recommendations to us, so they looked at the aesthetics of it.
And this you're going to present to for bids?
It's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marcoussi. So, maintenant, si je peux voir quelqu'un pour proposer la levée de la séance.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose de lever la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Fini, je peux voir l'appui.
Je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Torres, tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci.